So part two of the review for episode 1 now of Power Book 2. So let's get straight into it. So Tariq basically lies to Monet. Like he lies to Monet saying that, and we saw this scene in the promo. Anyone that saw one of the teasers, that we knew this was going to be happening, because he also did this in the, like, this scene was shown in one of the teasers. So Tariq lies to Monet saying that he had nothing to do, like he had nothing to do with Jabari's murder. And the way Diana looks at Drew and looks at Tariq is like they definitely suspect that Tariq is lying. Both of them, they definitely suspect that Tariq is lying when he says he has nothing to do with it. But I spoke about this scene in one of my past videos, and I spoke about how I think it's a bad idea that for Tariq to be lying to Monet, because eventually she's going to find out. She's always got a way of finding out things about situations and finding out things about people. So yeah, eventually she's going to figure out that Tariq's lying, and there's going to be consequences for him. There's going to be consequences when she finds out. So yeah, I think it's a bad idea that for Tariq to lie, but he's gone with that decision. And again, that it kind of links back to the whole theme of the episode as well, about free will. Like that whole free will debate that they were having in the canonical studies class, that whole theme was portrayed throughout the episode, and it's particularly in this scene as well. Again, Tariq has free will here, and Tariq said as well that it doesn't feel like he had free will, but you do. In that scene again, he had free will because you could have chosen to tell the truth, but he decided not to. So yeah, that theme, I like the way the theme was portrayed pretty much throughout the entire episode there, and that's just an example of where it was portrayed. Later on, it was portrayed again in my favorite scene of the entire show, really. My favorite scene of the entire show, where, my favorite scene of the entire episode, not show, but my favorite scene of the episode is where Kane was just on some serious smoke. Kane was on some serious smoke again. Like, so he's on, basically, Mecca's got the guap that got away, and he's got him tied up to a chair now. He's got him tied up to a chair, and he says to Kane, do whatever you want with him. You can either make him suffer, kill him straight away, or show him mercy and let him go. But the decision you make tells me what type of person you are. And Kane basically unties him. And Mecca's like, what? Mecca's looking surprised. So Kane basically unties him and says, I don't need to have him tied up to beat him up. And so they end up getting into a fight. At first, Kane was blocking shots and that, but then the guy got weird. The guy landed a few shots on Kane and then made Kane bleed a little bit through his mouth. And then Kane does a pull counter where the guy threw a jab. Kane pulled his head back and countered with a jab himself. And then he grabs him up and basically snaps his neck off. But Kane must have had some kind of boxing experience or something, because like this guy must have had some boxing experience or something, because like the way this guy loves to pull counter move, like, it's crazy. It's crazy. Like, he did that same move against that guy he killed in episode 1, where Kane was basically getting, you know what, from Shell, and then I guess Shell's side piece or boyfriend, whatever you want to call it, he finds out, he gets annoyed, he tries to swing on Kane. Kane does a pull counter, which is the same move he did to this guy in episode 1. So Kane loves that move. Like, Kane must have had some kind of boxing experience or something, because yeah, he showed basically who the hell he was. He basically showed Mecca, I'm the type of guy that in a fair fight, I don't even need to have a weapon or a gun or a knife or whatever. I can give you a fair fight and still take you out, basically. That's the type of guy I am. That's what he basically proved to Becca. And so that was my favorite scene of that episode. Brilliant scene. And also as well, again, it goes back to the whole free will thing. Mecca gave Kane a choice, i.e. Kane has the free will to basically do what he wanted with that guy. He could have tortured him, he could have let him go, but he decided to basically untie him and give him a fair fight, give him an opportunity, and basically implying that he is that cold, ruthless, and vicious, and he's got hands like that. He's that skilled as a fighter, whereby he doesn't need no weapons or anything like that. He doesn't need a piece to take you out. He can take you out with his bare hands. That's how vicious and cold and how skilled of a fighter he is basically showing. And so yeah, I love that scene. That was a cold scene, man. That was a cold scene. But yeah, like I said, it goes back to the whole free will thing. Mecha gave Kane options of what he wanted to do, and Kane basically decided to give him a fair fight and untie him, basically. Yeah. Mecha gave him options, and Kane decided to give him a fair fight. So Kane pretty much had free will in that situation. So again, just another example how that theme was basically emphasized throughout the entire episode. So going back now to Tariq with the Tejadas, he's basically obviously Tariq. I mean, Diane is pretty much hiding product under these designer bags, and her and Tariq are basically talking, and they end up flirting a little bit. They're holding hands, and then Monet basically comes in, and Monet is always sneaking up on people. Like she did this many times in season one when when the when Kane would talk with Diana and when Kane would talk to Diana and Drew, or Drew and Diana would talk or whatever, and she'd randomly just come in and just sneak in, and like like she just has a habit of doing that. She does it again here. So she just comes in sneaking in and interrupts Diana while she's flirting with Tariq, and tells Diana to come here, come here. And she pretty much shouts at Diana as well, like raw. Like she's just out here like constantly like doing too much, Monet. Like yeah, she just goes ahead and starts shouting at Diana, and Diana goes with her mum, and yeah, that's pretty much the end of that scene. And so now Tariq is basically at with Braden in his car. He basically puts the designer bags, obviously containing product. He puts them in the he puts them in the back of the car, and Braden's like, oh, they look heavy. Like, what's going on there? And he basically shows Braden what's inside, and Braden's like, okay, so you changed your mind, Tariq, you're back in the game. Tariq's like, yeah, and he basically explains that, oh, if the feds come, like they'll know that you're Western basically, and we can basically get away with it because of your name, because of the fact that you're Western. And so again, it just shows, like I've said many times, and like I said in many episodes, Tariq is good at using the tools at his disposal to get what he wants, to get the result that he wants. To be basically good at using the tools that he has to get the desired outcome and the results that he wants. In this case, again, using the Western name to his advantage. He did a similar thing in season one when he orchestrated that fight that Braden got involved in, using the Western name to his advantage. He does it again here, and basically explains to Braden that with that name you can basically get away with a lot of stuff. You can get away with a lot of stuff, and the feds are not going to be looking too deeply into it because of the Western name. They'll probably apologize. So now pretty much I'm just going to do like a short analysis of the remaining scenes now of the show. So Drew, he's angry at Monet, which he's been angry at Monet for the entire episode really. So he's angry at Monet because he in his mind he thinks that Monet's just too controlling. She's too much of an extreme dictator, and she doesn't give her kids any freedom or choice to do what they want. And he's right, pretty much. He's right. And so yeah, he's angry at Monet, and he has basically a conversation with Diana where he says to Diana we should start making our own moves, making our own decisions. And Diana agrees, but she agrees reluctantly. And so we'll see how that plays out. I'm going to be talking about that, delving deeper into that in another video, in a subsequent video. So now Kane, he tries to convince MECCA of letting him be his distro, and MECCA's like, I'm not too sure yet. We'll see. But yeah, he tries to convince MECCA of letting him be his distro, but we'll see if MECCA decides to work with him or not. And now, Tariq he continues to have PTSD, so he goes on this hunting trip with Braden, and he continues to have PTSD and everything like that. Again, he's still feeling the guilt of the whole Jabari thing. And Monet, like, she basically has a conversation with Zeke, and she basically forcing Zeke to basically turn pro. Zeke was like, he wasn't too sure. He was looking very uncertain. Like, he's like, I'm not ready. I'm still rusty, blah, blah, all that stuff. But Monet's like, no, we gotta make this move now. So again, this shows how much of a, again, extreme dictator, shows how controlling that Monet is. She doesn't give any of her kids, and even Zeke, who's not a kid, she doesn't give them any choice to make their own decisions. Like, to make their own decision, make their own choices, and do what they want to do. She doesn't really care. Like, she doesn't really care about what they want. It's all about what she wants at all times. And the everyone's becoming increasingly frustrated with her. Diana, especially Drew, not Diana, especially Drew, and I think Zeke as well. And Diana's gonna start to get a little bit frustrated with her too. So, and it kind of goes back to what Mary J. Blige said, the woman that plays Monet, that Diana's gonna do things that annoy that Monet is not happy with. And so I guess I guess that probably stems from Monet being too controlling and just not letting any of her kids do what they want, because they're not kids anymore. They're all adults. Like Diana looks at about 2021. I'm not sure, they haven't said her age in the show, but she looks in her early 20s. So does Drew, and so does Zeke. But she treats them like they're little 10-year-old kids, and they're getting very, very like, annoyed about, and they're getting increasingly annoyed and frustrated at Monet because of that. And so now Davis McLean, he has a conversation with his brother. His brother's in prison, and he says to his brother that I'm gonna get you out of here. You're not gonna die in here. So that's quite interesting. We'll see how that plays out. MECCA now follows Kane because Kane basically tries to go speak to Monet. MECCA follows him in his car, and basically, I guess he's trying to see what Kane is up to, trying to find out more about Kane, trying to find out more about how we can play this whole situation. And so, yeah, he's basically following Kane to see what he's up to. And now the final scene of the episode where Tariq basically messed up. This guy messed up badly. Like, he kept the burner phone for the entire episode. He deleted the messages that he had with Jabari, but he kept the phone, which is a rookie error. A rookie error. But to be honest, Tariq is still raw. He's smart. Like, he's talented, he's smart. And he makes good tactical chess moves. Like I said earlier in the episode, he knows how to use the tools that he has at his disposal, but he still makes rookie errors because he is still quite raw in this. He's still raw. He's still inexperienced. So it is natural for him to make errors like this. I mean, the show would be too unrealistic if the guy didn't make any mistakes. So he makes a mistake by keeping the phone, and yeah, he makes a big mistake by keeping the phone. He should have thrown it away, but he kept it and he answered the call that the detective called him, and the detective managed to track the location, found out that it was at Stansfield, and now they know that the guy that took Jabari out is at Stansfield, and that's where they're going to focus their investigation. And so Tariq could be in further trouble, really could be in further trouble. So, damn, I might do a separate video speaking about that in more detail. But yeah, but that pretty much concludes now my review for episode 1 now of the new season. So yeah, that pretty much concludes the whole review. If you've liked this video, then give it a like, hit that like button, and subscribe to the channel as well if you want to see more content on Power. I'm going to be doing reviews on episodes of Power and speaking about that. And yeah, that's it for this video. So until next time.